In today's show, we have another multi-topic episode where first we discuss why are obese people getting free plane seats? Then we discuss population overcrowding is a hoax. And finally we discuss, are fact checkers only checking non-establishment narratives?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh?
Come on, let's keep up our tradition. I'm going to ask you to say hi to our audience.
All right, what the hell? All right, hello, audience.
Yay!
Yeah,
Why
great.
is it such a struggle to get you to say
They
hello to
don't
the
like me.
audience?
Why should I like them? Well, why should I? They don't like me either. Every comment we get, that guy, blah, blah, blah. So if they don't like me, why should I like them? I think first, and then you force me to say hello to them and try to
I
be
think
nice
it's
to
the
them.
way to win them back, win them over, that you're a nice guy, really.
Yeah. Besides, why lie?
Oh dear. Anyway, let's move on with the show. Now, today, obviously, time permitting, of course, we'll try and discuss a number of topics. And the first one we've got for today is an interesting one. And it's, are obese people getting free plane seats? Now, Tayo, you sort of shared this one with me. So do you want to kick things off?
Well, I came across a video in my perambulations of the internet, which are manifold and quite time wasting, turns out. But on this occasion, I stumbled upon something, which was a video posted by an irate passenger who was taking two two teenagers, her daughter and her daughter's friend, to Miami on some kind of trip or whatever it was.
With paid tickets, of course. Yeah.
With paid tickets, so she showed up at the airport with her daughter and her daughter's friend, like I said, they're teenagers, and tried to get onto the plane. I got onto the plane, excuse me, got onto the plane, only to find that a rather large woman was sitting in one of the three seats. So there are three seats. The woman was sitting in, yes, in the window seat. And the space next to her, which would have been for one of these members of this woman's party, that space had been given to this woman for free because of her size. And by the way, in the video, she's actually spilling out into the other seat. She's that large. And therefore, the airline said, we're very sorry. You're going to have to spend the night in wherever they were at the time. You can't go to Miami today. So they actually didn't let those three passengers onto the aircraft. I think it was a full aircraft. So they didn't let the woman and her daughter and the teenage friend, all three of them, didn't let them onto the flight. And she had to find a hotel. I assume she was compensated, but that never came up in the video. But she was really irate because she was running around looking for a hotel to spend the night with and the inconvenience of it all. Just because this other woman had been given a free seat ostensibly at the last minute because they didn't know that she was that large. So apparently, this is Delta Airlines.
We can name them because it was it Delta or Southwest Airlines?
I believe it was Delta, if I'm
No, I
wrong.
think actually I've got it here. It says Southwest Airlines.
Oh, have you really? Oh, okay. Well,
Mm,
thank you for being my fact checker. We're talking about fact checkers very soon.
mm.
What was I saying? So the airline that has a policy that's their policy that if you are too large to fit into one seat, you get another seat next to you for free, regardless of how that impacts people who've actually paid for this seat. I mean, it's a really, for me, it's just gobsmacking. I don't understand why you do that. I mean, I can understand you giving up a free seat if there's a free seat. But if
Mm,
there isn't a free seat, isn't shouldn't it be the person's responsibility to know that they're too large to fit into one seat? I mean, to be honest with you, when I'm flying, if I mean, I either fly, a reasonable class, or if I can't, I actually buy the seat next to me, and that's not because I'm spilling out of mine. That's just because I just like the space.
mm. But
So
you're
if I'm flying with
paying
my
for
wife,
that
I'm
seat, so
paying for
that's
that seat.
absolutely
So
fine.
if I'm flying with my wife, I make it me space her, one like that. So we've both got some space.
I mean, I did see that video that you shared,
Mm.
and there is some information that was purposely left out
Oh.
because, yes, she grumbled, and some airlines can say to passengers, I'm sorry, but even though you've paid for a ticket, you cannot board this flight. However, they do compensate them. They they actually pay for their accommodation for the night, but they leave it up to the customer to choose, because what happens is the airline will offer them a location
Mm-hmm.
for free
Mm-hmm.
and also pay for the inconvenience. So this is a common thing. Now, if the customer doesn't want that hotel, they can choose a different one, and then it's up to them to find that hotel, but they can then cross charge it back to the airline, who will then pay. So they don't have to take the hotel that the airline offers them,
Mm-hmm.
but there is one offered and they get compensated. And I've even been on a flight where that has actually happened. And what the stewardesses say, because what often happens, just this is maybe unknown to a lot of people, most flights are overbooked
Yeah. Well,
on
I
purpose.
programmed. I remember as a programmer for a
Yeah.
while. I actually programmed for an airline, and when they gave me a an instruction to allow overbookings to something like do you know what? I can't remember the exact percentage,
About
but
12%, is it, or something? Something like that.
I can't remember the exact percentage, but I was shocked. So I was like, why should I? Because I can actually program it straightforward. Hey, it's booked, it's fully
Mm,
booked.
yeah.
And they were like, no, because some people don't show up.
Yeah.
So we'd rather people showed up and they can't get onto the flight,
Yeah.
that they've had many years of experience, and they think that whatever this figure was, I don't think it was 12%, I think it was 6 or something like that.
Oh,
But
maybe I'm reading that wrong or thinking it wrong. Okay. It was only off from memory, but yeah.
right, exactly. So allow that percentage, and that well,
Mm.
that their experience was that most of the time will be fine. Can you
Well, it is
imagine?
true though. If you think about it, if you've got a flight of 200 seats
Mm,
and you sell them all, which is the intention, they're making money, they know that a certain percentage cannot come for whatever reason.
mm,
They change their mind, they're ill, a bereavement, something goes wrong, so those seats are left empty. And by overselling those seats, they're taking a gamble with this number not turning up, and people do turn up.
yeah.
But also, if on the off chance they more people turn up than they are, then they're prepared for that and they go, okay, we've overbooked. We'll offer somebody an extra night in a hotel. We'll pay you for the inconvenience and so forth. And they are asked to come out. And in fact,
Oh, sometimes. Ooh, did I interrupt you there? Sorry.
no, it was just when the flight we were on, they were asking who wanted to come off the plane because we were going to a holiday destination in Europe,
Yeah,
and
of
they'd
course you were.
overbooked, and they said, we've got too many people on the flight. Is anybody wanting to go out of the flight? We'll put you up. And then no one took it up. And then they spoke to the well, we were on the tarmac, by the way, and they
Mm.
were saying, okay, what we'll do, we'll offer £300 for anybody and accommodation, and no one took
Oh,
it
so
up.
certain emoluments anyway.
Yeah, and they went up to £500, and
Oh,
then this
wow.
this couple said, oh yeah, we'll have that,
Mm,
and they come off.
mm,
So they got an extra night in Birmingham at the time, They got extra
Oh, you spoiled the
£500
story there. Next night in Birmingham. Whoa, 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 dude! I want to get the hell out
put
of
up in a
Birmingham.
hotel. Yeah, so they didn't get down
Yeah,
to
no.
their holiday resort, and they weren't that fast. So they got, the tickets were nowhere that near that price, but they got compensated. They lost a day, but I think it was because they were going to just visit friends. So
Mm.
for them, it's no big shakes, and they made some money en
Well,
route,
I'll
which
say
isn't
two
bad.
things.
Yeah.
I'll say two things. A, sometimes, and this happened to me, I was actually upgraded to a class.
Ah,
So
yes.
as you know, so if your class is not like that, then they upgrade you to
You
a
mean
better class.
cattle class, and then they upgrade you? You mean?
Well, they upgrade whatever class is overbooked. So if you're in the like the World Plus or whatever it's called with
Yeah.
BA, then you go up to business or something. So it's
Mm.
not bad.
But
And the other thing, what the hell was the other thing I was going to say? Well, okay, I've forgotten now. You said something about Birmingham is right. So this woman that we're talking about, the one who uploaded the video,
yeah.
am I right in remembering that she had some reason to be where she was going? And for example, you're saying it's all right. It's not all this obese people taking your seats.
No,
It's
no,
not.
I'm not. I'm not agreeing with the policy.
Oh, okay.
I
But
personally think it's a terrible policy. And
because the people who are traveling might be traveling. Let's say you're traveling for a wedding
yeah,
ceremony or a funeral or something. I mean, that's you don't want to be told
no,
I'm going to travel because this other
no,
person.
no. I think that's totally, totally wrong. And I think the fact that they're giving them a free seat is ridiculous. I think if anything, they should be offered the opportunity to buy another seat at the
Yeah,
very least.
yeah,
But if it's occupied by somebody else, then
too
I don't
bad.
think that's right. They're going to have to squeeze into their
You
own.
should have said. You should have said when you're booking the flight.
Well,
I'm not comfortable in one seat because
what?
I'm quite large.
But airlines don't seem to care whether you're 6'8". They don't care. Because the leg room is not changed. If
No,
you buy
I'm
that
6 foot
seat,
4, so I have
well,
difficulties with.
yeah,
I have to,
exactly, indeed.
choose my seats with care.
Indeed. So, but you have to make that decision because you're
Mm.
responsible and you know how uncomfortable those seats can be if you're squidged in. The
Well, you
same
pay
must
extra,
apply.
don't you, to fly a better class?
Exactly, you do.
But you're forced to pay. I don't necessarily want to fly the other class, but basically, if I want a comfortable flight, if it's a long flight, you have to.
What what I have issue with this policy, and I'm glad it seems to be only Southwestern Airlines that have applied it, is they're trying to be inclusive,
Yes, yes.
but they've gone too far. Because why are they being inclusive with just one demographic of individual who
Mhm.
happen to be large? And in America, granted, they have a disproportionate number of people who are big, and so give them free seats. Surely you should be that's not a real
Model.
business idea, is it? You're losing
Well,
money.
well, have you heard of this? What is it called now? Is it called DEI initiative? What is it called?
I don't know what you mean.
All right, there's this initiative where what appears to be Satan's very own. I bet this episode is going to be cancelled. What appears to be Satan's corporation on Earth, his personal I think business.
What?
BlackRock. Have you heard of BlackRock?
Yes, I've heard of BlackRock.
They seem to be the source of the infestation, if you like, of the miasma that is spreading through the world. Every sort of well, okay, so we've got to be
BlackRock,
careful. Yeah,
BlackRock
yeah.
are the largest financial institution on the planet,
Uh-huh.
and
Satan's
they
spawn, apparently.
and they invest in everything you can imagine.
They don't care,
They
apparently,
are
basically.
they are they are bigger than that Hemingway something, which is one of the other big companies. They're huge American companies. Rothschild are linked to them, and they have fingers in every pie, and literally because of investments. And if you were, I mean, this is not a conspiracy show, but if you were to think of
Every show
them,
with you, Tony, is a conspiracy show. Sorry, man. Yeah,
I don't know why you
you're
brought that up, but
Mr. Conspiracy himself.
the thing is that they have got their fingers in every pie. I wouldn't go far as saying Satan. I mean, you're talking Antichrist here, company. I mean, that's just a bit too far.
Well,
They've certainly
that's
got their
my
fingers in many pies, and certainly they don't have morals, or I believe they don't have
sorry.
morals on where they invest. They're literally anyone that will take their business, they invest.
No, I obviously I like hyperbole to make my points. Okay, so obviously
Okay.
I don't actually believe in the character Satan anyway.
Okay.
So
All right. Okay.
that's just me. Just So actually, DEI is called diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Mhm.
and it's a metric that BlackRock uses. I believe, and I might be wrong. Don't forget, this is a show run by two numpties, me especially. I might be wrong, so you might have to fact check this yourself. But I believe that the the people, the companies in which they invest can use DEI metrics to attract more investment and more money from BlackRock. And I know this, or at least I believe this, because I believe that is why Disney doesn't seem to be so worried about losing all these viewers by making ridiculously woke films that nobody wants to watch and they lose money. They lost, I believe, this year alone, 2023, I believe that Disney has basically lost $1 billion at the box office
Wow.
from making movies like the Little Mermaid with a person of color. But
Does that
so
matter? Or
yeah,
just
well,
people
yeah,
don't want
because
to watch?
no, it matters because you haven't changed the character. See, look, I can speak for people because you're a normie. Huh? Like I've explained that before. What a normie is, a normal person who doesn't follow the ins and outs of the entertainment industry, especially it's in either film or in music or in something. I follow the ins and outs of film industry, Hollywood film industry, and we are saying, I mean, fans, the fandom. So the normies and the fandom, the people who actually will go out in the rain and the snow or whatever in bad weather. They will go and watch a movie. They will pay and they'll go and see it several times because they want to support the studio. That's the fan, as opposed to the
Yes.
normie who just goes to watch the film once and that's it. So we wouldn't mind if the Little Mermaid was if this particular Little Mermaid was a new character. She could have been the colored cousin of the
Okay.
original mermaid. Do you
Mm.
see?
Yeah, yeah,
Why are you subverting the original?
yeah.
That's the problem. You could have made a new character. It's like James Bond. She didn't have to be 007. She'd have been 006. If you want to say, oh, she's better than 007, all right, make her
008.
006.
008.
Well, he said she'd have been worse, you see, but she's a woman. She has to be better. So you could have made
Is
her,
the
oh,
lower the number, the better?
yeah, the Lord's number
I
is,
didn't think that was the case. I
no,
thought
no,
it
no, yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, because that is why in the one with the Korean with the diamonds in his face.
I
Uh,
can't remember
and
that
they,
one.
yeah, I don't blame you because they had invisible cars in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Pierce Brosnan
Yeah,
was
so that's
Bond.
that's why your brain has just refused to remember as it really ought to do.
Yeah,
I can't
it
remember
was
what
poor. I agree.
I can't remember what it was
But that
called
was a
now.
while ago. But okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
in
we're
that the
digressing. That's
gentleman
yeah, go on.
the gentleman he fought right at the beginning
Mm.
was 003, and 003 was expected to beat him because 003 was better than him. That's why he's 003.
I wasn't aware of this denomination that the lower the
Oh,
number was
okay,
better.
yeah.
Okay, I've learned something new today. But anyway, let's bring back
How
on
did we get
point.
to how did we get
I
to
don't know because you said something about BlackRock and you were talking
Oh yeah,
about
exactly.
Disney and
So that
but
is why the DEI thing. So do you see that Southwest probably was going for DEI points? So that's where it's coming from.
so
That
you're
DEI is
saying that
spreading.
BlackRock have
Yeah,
set a narrative across businesses that
correct.
they are they would more readily invest
Yes,
if companies adopted the DEI approach.
correct. There's a DEI strategy progress PDF, which I'll share the link with you now, and we can put
Will
it
we
into our
share it with
blurb.
our listeners
And
and
then we'll share with our
viewers? Yeah.
listeners, and then you'll see what we're talking about. So that's why I call them the source of the infestation, the source of all this.
So do they? Okay, we are digressing here, but it is sort of loosely linked with
It
this
is
policy. So this policy, are you saying therefore that this policy could be further made inclusive and would they be asking people's gender, their non-gender, their sexual habits in order to get different seats? Or, I mean,
Entirely possible.
where is this going? And purely because of this agenda from the likes of BlackRock, because they feel that there's an untapped market of diversity out there that they can leverage, hence why they're enabling this DEI narrative across the spectrum, and it actually not directly encouraging but making it aware that if
Mhm.
companies adopt it they will get further investment. Perhaps
I
interesting
don't know why
theory.
they're doing it. I don't know if anybody knows why they're doing it, apart from the
Because it
satanic.
could be an untapped potential market.
But it's not working. Nobody wants the blooming diversity thing. It's very annoying.
Yeah, but it's annoying for people who aren't diverse. It's not annoying for that
Well,
group,
I'm
a
diverse and
demographic.
I
Well,
hate it.
think about it. Think
No,
about it.
hang on. I'm diverse and I hate it.
Well, yeah, you're going to get some angst against it, but there's a big underrepresented group out there,
Says
diverse
who?
group,
Says who?
that have not, they're not getting the, how can I describe
No,
it?
but where are your facts coming? Where you pulling this up
No, no,
from? You
no.
just
I'm thinking here. Think about this for an investment company. Your interesting point, and we're digressing ever so slightly, but if they see a potential growth, because at the end of the day, they can only make money from investors and investment in companies that flourish. So their strategy could be that they want to enable this underrepresented or underutilized demographic that could have potential income rewards because they're a big customer base that are not maybe exploited, let's use that word, to its full potential. And they've made figures and thought, well, this group of people could, if we raise their profile, could actually be big investors, could actually generate more income for us long term. So let's set the narrative for companies so that these people get brought in and hence they become more established, and then they would invest more and pay more, and I don't know what they BlackRock do, but directly they may invest more money and then become more profitable for them. So there
I don't
could be a
believe it for a
strategy
second.
here.
No, no, I don't believe that for a second.
Well, I don't know. This is just
I
a
don't know what
hypothesis
the
of what you're saying.
I don't know what the reason they're doing it is. I tend to believe that they're just Satan's spawn. That's what
For
I
what
believe.
benefit? They've got to do it for a
Well,
financial
Satan
benefit.
wants to bring. Well, that's what you think. But they make a lot of money, and it's fine with them. And Satan is looking after them. So you've got to go down the satanic route. Like we said, that there's an undercurrent of evil that is quite clearly rising and coursing through the veins of the world. Now, I don't
Not
believe in the
sure about
Satan
that, but
character,
okay.
but I certainly do believe that there's something very wrong somewhere. Now, I don't know
Well,
what it is, but whatever it is, it looks like if you track it back, you track all the way back to BlackRock and this DEI, and if
BlackRock and the
um,
ilk, there's other companies up there as well. And one of
well,
the other
yeah,
players
there are
escapes me.
there's some big players, but
Huge
this
company.
DEI thing is actually spread. I mean, we should probably do a show on it. It's quite big.
Mm. Okay.
Anyway, there we are.
Let,
So
let,
this
let's
if the fat the obese what is it called now? This question about obese people and airline seats seems to track back to a TikToker, and I've shared the link with you.
Okay, can you
And as
share
far as
that with our
yes, we
listeners
can.
and viewers?
It's because it's YouTube, so it's
Okay, cool.
public domain.
We'll share
So
these on the show.
so she she is the one, it seems to me, who kickstarted this because all the reactions that I find are reactions to this video. And it
Right.
appears that this, I thought it was Delta, but you're saying in Southwest,
It's Southwest
was
Airlines,
they
yeah.
took it up. Oh, that's a good idea. And then they went along with it. So it does seem to track back to this TikToker.
It's also open to abuse, this idea that a customer can come in, oh, I'm big, I want the extra seat for free. What's going to happen? We're going to get it's encouraging obesity as well. Sorry, but it is.
Sorry?
It's encouraging obesity.
Oh,
If
they
you're
don't see
big,
anything
you
wrong
get on
with
the
it.
plane.
They don't see anything wrong with it. There's a, a movement called fat acceptance. And apparently being fat is beautiful and this and that, and we are being bigoted when even to say, I think, okay, let me finish saying what I'm saying. We have been bigoted when we say that could be an unhealthy, well, that is an unhealthy lifestyle.
That,
Apparently, doctors in the US now have to be very careful how they couch their advice to patients to lose weight.
that is total and utter nonsense.
Well,
I'm a weight loss mentor, and I can tell you for a fact that being overweight is damaging to your internal organs, even a little bit overweight, because your body is designed for your size. And you putting on fat, which is what it is, it's putting strain on your internal organs. That's like overweighing a car. It will still drive, but it's working really hard in all the engine's working over hard to carry the excess weight. And you're doing that 24/7 for as many years as possible. After a time, they will wear out, they will give way, and you will have more issues than you care to imagine. So, this myth, just to not offend people who are overweight, they really have to understand they need to tell them the truth and say, look, you need to lose weight, otherwise your health is going to be impacted in a seriously negative way. Now, granted, love yourself, not saying you shouldn't, and doesn't matter what size, color, shape you are, absolutely. But then again, be you cannot incentivize people for a problem, because that is a problem. Being overweight is detrimental to health, period. No matter you flower it up, it is. So it's nonsense to think that it isn't. Yes, love yourself in your skin. That's a separate thing. That's self-image. That's feeling good about yourself. It has nothing to do with health, because health, that's a different kettle of
well,
fish.
basically, what you've said is that facts trump opinion. That's the basis of your argument. But in this society, in this day and age, opinion trumps opinions trump
Facts.
facts. So we all know that if you paint lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. However, if you put certain people in certain forms of clothing, they are magically transformed into what they are obviously not. So we'll just leave it there. So
Okay.
right now, as I say, apparently doctors in the US, possibly in Canada too, because Canada usually starts first, have to be careful how they couch their advice.
Okay. Right. We've talked at length on this one. I want to move on to a
And we've got
different topic.
some links
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, and we'll
audience to
share them.
follow.
We'll
So
share them.
we share
So,
the links.
what's your view? Is it something that should be encouraged for inclusivity, or should it be discouraged because this has got the potential of being grossly unfair for a lot of passengers and leaving them disadvantaged at the benefit of people who are overweight, when really and clearly they should be, they bought one seat, that's what you get, one seat. And that's how it
Well,
should be. That's my opinion.
I have very strong views on this. Unfortunately, you have banned me from being forthright in my language, so I'll call it a load of baloney. But that's not the word I want to use. It's a load of something, all right. And
Indeed.
baloney is the
It's
politest.
outrageous decision by this airline,
It
and I
is.
hope they reverse this policy because it's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, DEI, I bet you they won't.
Hmm. Okay, let's move on to another topic. And this is an interesting one too, where we've been fed that population is growing, 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 and we're overcrowded and we can't sustain things. But in reality, it seems that the opposite is the truth. Do you want to elaborate a bit more?
Well, again, in my many peregrinations around the internet, I came across this a surprising video that claimed, and I double checked the claim, and it turned out to be right,
Yep.
that Elon Musk had called it, I forget the exact words he used, but basically a deceit, that overpopulation is a deceit.
Mm,
I was taken aback by that. I didn't think there was overpopulation, but I thought population was growing pretty strongly and so on and so forth. But Elon Musk made the point that, or claimed, that actually population's falling worldwide. It's not rising.
no.
Now that I found unbelievable. So I was like, hang on a second, that can't be right. And I looked into it, and of course, I started asking myself questions. Well, if Europe is being depopulated because of falling birth rates, and President Putin's major, biggest, this is something that he's confessed,
Yeah,
and
he has
he
said
spoke
it.
about it
Yes.
recently.
Mm,
His biggest fear for Russia is the fact that it's just not populating itself.
no,
And Japan, I remember talking about in an earlier
we
show,
spoke about this.
we spoke about it, how villages are emptying out, and
Hmm.
they're not even willing to import people to help balance redress the issue.
Mm.
South Korea, that they could use South Koreans, they could use Koreans to help address the issue, but South Koreans themselves are losing,
Yeah,
their population.
indeed.
So I started asking myself, well, sorry, so who's actually growing? China's got problems.
Mm.
They've now allowed people to have more than one child.
In fact,
Um,
yeah, they originally had a one-child
a one
policy.
child policy. Now they're frightened. Now they're saying, oh, we're very sorry, we made a big mistake. And the Chinese were actually terminating pregnancies where if the fetus was female, they terminate the pregnancy. They all
Yeah.
wanted boys. So
Mm.
now they got, I mean, it's so stupid. How do you even, that's just stupid. How do you think to yourself that if you all have boys, who are they going to marry? And it's just ordinary common sense. It's just common sense. You
Uh,
let
uh,
nature just do nature's thing. Ugh, idiots. Anyway, now they're suffering because, hey, guess what? That was a dumb idea. Yeah, you think?
their
Uh,
populations are declining rapidly, and they've reversed
yeah.
those policies now to incentivize people to have kids. But people
With
aren't having
whom?
kids.
With whom?
But they're trying the remaining populations.
What have they
This
got?
is the
300? No,
problem.
no, no, no.
They've got
How many
1.3
men?
billion
No, how
people.
many men have they got that can't match, can't find a female?
Oh, I don't know those
So the females
figures.
just making outrageous demands. You got to buy a house, you got to do this, you got to do that because there's such hot demand.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
But I'll tell you what, this is a bit of an aside, but historically, empires have begun when young men couldn't find sexual partners. And then they went out into the world and they conquered the world.
Well,
So historically, that's the problem. That if young men, can't find any at home, well, they travel abroad and they go find elsewhere. And
yeah.
if the men in that wherever they go, if they resist, they get trampled on because it boils down to they need to get their rocks off.
Mm.
Anyway,
But
India, I don't know what India is doing, and I know that.
India has now become the most populous country in the world. It's just overtaken China
All right,
by just a small amount. So they're roughly
well, they
similar.
keep growing, right? I don't think they have a.
They're 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 stagnating
Oh
now.
wow,
I know, which is
India is
incredible.
stagnating.
Yeah, it's now
That's
that
astonishing.
if you can imagine a line, I'm depicting this for our viewers, but obviously our listeners can't see this. But you imagine a line that
Mm.
was rapidly rising. It's now leveling off.
Wow.
So even India is now leveling off. They've still got some growth, but it's certainly a decline, and very soon the hump will now
Oh, okay.
come
Yeah,
down the other way. So yeah, it's not collapse. It's not a collapse worldwide where populations are actually shrinking, but it is a decline. And I think you mentioned it before in a previous show. There has to be 2.1 minimum for a
correct.
population to flourish,
Yeah.
and most countries now are
Most
not.
advanced countries are 1 point, well, Britain's 1.8, isn't it?
Yeah, a
Italy
lot.
is terrible, 1.5,
They're not
something.
having any kids, which is
So they're not,
really
no.
strange because they were a very family orientated society in Italy, and it's gone completely the other way. So what has stopped people from procreating? What is it in
Well,
specifically?
I said a long time ago, in one of our very early shows, when you argued that there is nothing wrong with LGBTQ lifestyle, and I said there is something very wrong with it because it is a societal disease. Hello, are you there?
I'm here, yeah, yeah.
Who put, why did you put your hand up?
I think you put your hand up.
Oh, okay.
You put your hand up like this, and so your hand went up, you see. You've got
Has Zoom,
the
has
detection.
Zoom, has Zoom got, oh my God, Zoom has got, how do I put it down?
You
So the people listening, the people on audio who are listening to that, I'm wondering what the heck is going on. Tony and I record this on Zoom, and
Well, we can't meet in
I
person.
put my hand up in real life, so to speak, and then Zoom
has
detect
decided to take that and move the video, which is
I
what's
moved the
happened.
video. So
Yeah.
that shocked me. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, I'm very sorry about that, audience, but wow, just shows the AI is not that it's cracked up to be. So what was I saying? What was I saying now? Okay, LGBTQ lifestyle. That it moves, I don't have a good term for it, but it moves the cursor from sexual responsibility and family, it moves it towards pure hedonism. That look, it feels good, therefore it's right. Now, along with that, you move away from family values, from sex as a tool for reproduction, and not, it doesn't have to be solely a tool, but that's its function. And then young people are taught that. Young people grow up to respect that, and then they try to settle. They try to find someone to have sex with, especially men, and settle down and have children. And that's how society used to progress. But at the end of the civilization, when the decadence comes along, it's hang on, no, sex is just for fun. And when you do that, then what do I need kids for? I'm busy having fun. Well, what am I supposed to do with kids? And the entire concept of having children, there's no responsibility, there's no need for it, and it's inevitable. And so I was trying to say that if we
I,
move in
I
that
think
direction,
I think you've
it will
made a
be
bit
in.
of a leap though
No, it's not a bit of
from
a leap because I predicted it back in the 80s when I was arguing with people like you. I
yeah, but
said this is what is going to happen. So if I
hedonism's not
predict
the problem because
hedonism
people
is the problem. It's inevitable. You can't say, look, and not only that, it's hedonism and decadence. Once you've accepted LGBTQ, there's no reason logically why you can't accept bestiality, which is why Spain is accepting it. It's like, what's wrong? If you can show that the animal is not distressed and the animal likes it, maybe even likes it or wants it, then what's the problem?
how would you know? That's just sick.
Well, for
I
instance,
mean,
if it's a dog and the dog gets a hard on, then the dog's enjoying it. If the
oh,
dog is a well, it's true. That's the problem. It's actually true. So there's no way, you can't get around it. It's facts, like we were saying earlier in this very show. Facts are facts. And that's why once you've accepted certain things, there's no discrimination anymore. And that's why you don't accept it in the first place. Now, I'm not of Nigerian background and everything. We never intended to ban LGBTQ and all that. We had what I think was a very sensible attitude. And it's still my attitude today. Is that, look, what people do in the privacy of their homes is strictly their business,
yeah,
nothing to do with anyone else, right? But what you do in public is everybody's business
yes,
because it's in public.
mm,
So
agreed.
if we go down that route, it's like we're not against LGBTQ in itself, but if you bring it out in public, it becomes a problem. Then we got to do something about it. Was my attitude.
The thing is with okay, because you've picked up on LGBTQ, that is something that's public because that is something that people want to dress up in the sex they feel more comfortable with. So they do bring it into public because otherwise, if you want them to keep, I mean, what they do behind closed doors is still behind closed doors because they're not coming into public and having sexual intercourse. We're not at that point. So the public bit,
Some countries are, which is wrong
no,
in my
no, no.
opinion.
You're not having a sexual intercourse in a public place. What you've got is that people still can do what they choose in in private, sorry, but in public, there's still rules.
Yes,
The
I'm saying
LGBT is slightly different because, like I said, a man will be wearing female's clothes or a female be wearing man's clothes. And it's the parents, because if you've got gay people, they don't look any different to anybody else. But specifically, LGBT do look different. They do. And so that catches the eye and they're now it's as if it's being thrown in our faces. That's
mm,
how the people who aren't agreeing with this feel. So they're feeling uncomfortable because they're seeing people who are wanting to express how they genuinely feel outside from the house. They're not
mm.
having sex in public. They're not. So that's not true. But
What do you mean that's not true? I never
we're
said they were.
fearful.
Whoa. You didn't put words in my mouth. I never said they're having sex in public.
Okay, but you're saying accepting. Accepting what? What are you accepting?
okay, so two men walking hand in hand, or as I saw on in the London Underground, two girls standing on the platform and snogging in front of kids and everything. So what do you mean? That's not
Yeah, okay.
privacy.
Yeah.
Well,
I personally don't
two
think,
men walking
personally,
hand in hand.
hang on,
What was
personally,
that
I don't
about?
want to see a man and a woman do that in public.
Well, it's okay. I mean, at least it's
No,
headed in the
because if
right
you're going to put a
direction.
standard, then your standard applies to everybody.
Please don't make me lose my mind. This is not co-equal. All right. One is natural and normal, and one is abnormal. Okay. So you can't conflate them.
Okay.
That will make me blow my mind. I'll lose my temper here. Don't conflate the two. It's perfectly
I'm
okay for a man and a woman to do what a man and woman do.
So do you
That's all
want them
right.
to have sex in the on the pavement then?
Well,
Because that's normal.
I don't want to have sex on the pavement because it takes up a lot of space on the pavement, frankly. And most people don't do it properly anyway. Anyway, so back to what we were saying. How did we get onto this from population?
No.
Ah, yeah. President
Birth
Putin,
rates, yeah.
my main man, he's made no, he didn't, but the Duma,
Explain who
the
your main man is, because some people probably listen to the show
President Putin.
first time.
Okay,
Yeah, Tyre has an affinity and admiration for his, in quotes, main man, which is
President Vladimir Putin.
oh dear. But anyway, that's his personal opinion. Go
That's
on.
my I'm a fan. Well,
Not that I share that in any way.
except as a
Go on.
war leader. He's not very good as a war leader. I'm sorry, he's too soft. Anyway, the Duma, the Russian Duma, which is the parliament, has promulgated a law banning the how did they say the publicizing or what's another word for it? Advertising, another word for it, campaigning, if you like, for LGBTQ, and it's tied into an overarching set of laws to promote family values because they recognize that going back to our thing that populations their own population isn't really replacing itself. It's under 2.1. I don't exactly know the number. I think it's 1.9 or 1.8, but I don't really know. I can't remember the exact number. And they are now encouraging people to have large families, and the state is going to help massively. I mean, I think you get so many hundreds of dollars for the first child and again for the second. And so you're not going to have a problem financially. And that's what they're trying to do. So, but that's to me, it's a little bit like paying people to have kids, which I'm a little worried about. It's okay in an emergency, but what you really want to do is you really want to fix the the morality, fix the mores of society so that it happens naturally. And
Well,
it's good that
you could remove birth control, ban it.
oh God, no, we can't do that. Then you have unwanted pregnancies. I'm not pro unwanted pregnancies.
Okay, but
I'm not pro that at all.
if the government is worried about
But I'm not pro
declining
abortion either.
populations,
Sorry?
declining population numbers, then
No, no, no.
they
Yeah.
could go down these route.
That's a
And
very
if
interesting idea, by the way. I haven't even thought about it, but I mean, that is just, young people are young and their hormones are just running crazy, and you're just going to have a whole bunch of unwanted pregnancies. And that's really not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is to fix the mores of society so that people just get together just naturally and they stay together too, which would be a good thing. So maybe how about couple counseling for free and things like that? And we actually, instead of teaching children LGBTQ, in my opinion, nonsense in school, you actually teach children how to get along, how to compromise with others, how to lower the expectations, if you like, because social media, we've spoken about this in another show, where social media has promoted the idea that women are entitled to a certain lifestyle. They're all princesses. So many of them rate themselves as tens when they're quite clearly struggle to be fives. And if because
what does your scale mean in
well, the
simplistic
10 is a
terms?
good is good looking.
Based on what? How can you define good looking? This is it's subjective.
If many men want to jump her bones, she's a 10. If many men would like to avoid being in the same room with her, she's a 1. So it's quite straightforward. It's no, that's the
This
reason
is
why there's
definitely an adult themed show, but okay.
definitely there is a reason why we have Miss World and Miss why we have beauty pageants in
Well, we
general.
don't anymore, but hey.
I thought we did because we just saw
No, no, no.
Miss
They're not held
20.
in these countries anymore. And the Western nations have all banned them because they say
Excellent.
it's degrading for women. Although
Mm.
women choose to go in it because they want to,
Well,
but
yeah,
that's a
well,
separate thing. But
that's a
anyway,
separate thing. So where was I? I'm an old
on
man
a
now. I don't know. You have to
rant,
tell.
birth
Yeah,
rates, 5 out of 10, and some
how did I
women
get it?
on social media
All right, so
thinking.
social media. So what happens is this: there, I believe it's something like 10% of the men end up with 90% of the women on TikTok or something like that. It's the top 10 or the top 1%, the top whatever it is percent.
It's not just
All the
TikTok, it's a lot of
Not
the
TikTok,
free
sorry, not
dating
what's the other one?
sites, the dating
What's
sites,
the famous one? Tinder was the one I meant. Sorry,
Tinder.
Tinder.
Yeah.
So there are these top few men who all the girls
They
want.
play the game. They
So
play
the
the
the,
game.
the ones who are fours and fives, every so often they can sleep with one of these people, and then they think that because they slept with one of these men, that that's their standard. It's just like if I can get out there and picking someone at random, well, mostly random. I can bang what's her name today, the actress Scarlett Johansson. Then I can walk around like, yeah, man, I did Scott. And then if I get lucky with someone else, I don't even know modern actresses now. I don't know, whatever I don't know, some other famous, beautiful. Ooh, she's a beautiful actress. I can walk around with an ego, thinking, hey, But what actually happens? I just struck lightning twice, okay, and I'm actually a 4 or 5 myself. I freely admit it. So I wouldn't be stupid enough to start thinking, well, I might be start thinking, oh, do you know something? I've actually got it. I'm actually the man. And then for the rest of my life, I'm looking for that kind of standard, and then I don't get it. So this is happening to a lot of women.
And
So
what's their conclusion and their way of dealing with it then?
but they blame men. So it's always a
They're
man's fault. I mean,
blaming men.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's where have all the good men gone? So it's like what happened, So and they never look in the mirror and like, dude, just calm down. You were lucky once or twice, and that's it.
But the thing is, that's a psychological thing because
No, I'm saying
if a
what's happened to our
man a
society.
man tends to be more after sex, where a woman is tends to be, I mean, I'm generalizing here, tends to be more after affection and maybe sex and love. So there's got to be a little bit more feeling in it. Oh, but that's generalizing, of course.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I'm not
But
the way.
so the men that are on these platforms, they are
Mm,
looking to score.
yeah.
And if anyone is willing,
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be a nine if they're a nine.
No,
They'll go with anybody who's willing.
any port to park in a storm.
Okay, let's come back onto the topic in question here.
Hmm.
Population decline, which is what we were
That's why
discussing.
the civilization is
So do
breaking
you
down.
think social media is to blame?
No, it's not only social media. It's this DEI people, LGBT. It's a confluence. Again, it's not. I'm not really into conspiracies. It's not really a conspiracy. It just happens to be a confluence of very many negative things at the same time. Plus, this undercurrent of evil that I sense in the world, and many people say that they sense in the world, there's an undercurrent of evil, but the source of it or what it means or where we're going, I mean, how far away are we from Armageddon, the nuclear Armageddon? Are we that
No,
far?
no,
Every single day,
that's
I'm,
not going to
I'm
happen.
wondering.
No, that honestly, we're further away from that. The bigger problem we have is to do with AI and letting that out the bag. That's a bigger risk than nuclear weapons. Now, we're not going to annihilate ourselves with nukes. Where the problem lies there, as we've just touched on this subject, is more likely AI will destroy us with nukes, but not man and man would do it. It's that's a separate thing and maybe a topic for another time.
I definitely want to hear your views on that because that's really a very surprising thing to me. I don't know why you think that. You
No,
know,
because the way just I mean we've
yeah, we
digressed
do
ever
it all
so
the
slightly.
time.
The reason why I think that AI would be our downfall is because as it grows in its power and knowledge base, it will soon discover that we are the problem of the planet. And so once it gets to a point where you could say it's intelligent, but it realizes the planet Earth is suffering and we're the virus. So it will deduce, well, get rid of the virus, which is humans. And if we let AI look after our military, which is one of the stupidest things possible, but I can see that happening,
It is
then
happening.
yeah, and once it gets to a level where there's no kill switch, we are in trouble because
Are
they
you
will.
aware? Sorry,
Yeah, go
you
on.
finished? Are you
Yeah, yeah.
aware of the latest Russian drone, the what they call loitering, loitering drone? Now, I don't know this. I don't know I, I can't remember the name and specification of the drone, but the latest drone is a loitering drone. They basically launch it, it flies above the battlefield, and it loiters. And if it can find something to attack, an enemy to attack, it will attack the enemy.
So it just waits.
It just waits.
Good grief. How does it identify an enemy?
I wish I knew.
Hmm.
But obviously, Russia isn't publishing the details.
No, indeed, indeed.
And I'll try. I'll do my level best to back this up by including. I'll send you a link after the show. I can't
Okay.
find it right now.
Anyway, I mean, let's summarize this topic, the population
Mm.
overcrowding hoax. So what's the you're looking for solutions how to fix it, but if we don't fix it, what's going to happen to populations across the world?
I don't know what's going on in Africa, but the rest of the world is facing serious depopulation. I don't know who's worried about overpopulation. It is depopulation. In 1968, a Dr. Paul Ehrlich, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly,
Hmm.
he wrote a best-selling book called The Population Bomb. And in it, as Ehrlich, who at the time was a Stanford University professor of biology, warned, and I quote, the battle to feed all of humanity is over. In the 1970s, the world will undergo famines. Hundreds of millions of people are going to starve to death in spite of any crash programs embarked upon now. End quote. This Dr. Ehrlich went on to predict that there would be um, a lack of metals of five metals, pressure not precious, but five highly sought after metals that drive our industry. He made this prediction in the 1980, and he bet $1,000 with an economist who said no, and he lost the $1,000. Now, the reason I bring this up is that I want to prove that certain people fail upwards. He made a stupid prediction that didn't work. Well, I don't know, it wasn't stupid at the time, but he made a prediction in 1968 that didn't work out. He entered a bet in 1980 that he lost for $1,000. Yet in 1990, in the same year, he was granted 345,000 MacArthur Foundation Prize and half of a 240,000 Crawford Prize, the ecologist version of the Nobel Prize. So
Why?
because people fail upwards. Because Ursula von der Leyen is president or whatever it is of the EU. Because she the one that handed out. Am I right in thinking that she's German? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. As the defense minister, she handed out wooden rifles to German infantry to
I'm not
practice
sure
with.
that's true, but
All right, I'll give
okay.
it. Well,
Anyway, let's move. I'm
I will
mindful of
back
the
that up
time
with a
here.
link too. So
Okay. All
people
right.
fail upwards. So this gentleman,
Population overcrowding. Come on, let's sum up because I want to
well,
talk about the last one.
like I said, the guy failed upwards. Dr. Ehrlich was the reason I brought him up is that he's the one that started it off in 1968.
Hmm.
So, and
Okay.
then here we are all these years later. There is no population explosion. It's a blooming hoax. It's quite silly. Even Elon Musk has said so. And it's all out there. I mean, I'm going to share
It's a
two other
decline,
links.
not a collapse, but yeah, it's not good
It's
because
not good. It's not
it's
looking good.
causing pressure everywhere.
Precisely. And so
Social security, healthcare, workplace shortages, jobs
precisely.
can't be filled, geopolitical problems because you haven't got the workforce to do stuff, and then you want to bring people in from other countries, but then there's that immigration problem, and then you face, so it causes all sorts of issues. So yeah, we need positive birth rate, but not in the area that we discussed, not by banning contraceptives. We want
No,
it in a managed family unit environment, and that's what we
precisely.
want.
So I'm sending you 2 links to share with the audience,
I'll
mate.
share with the audience, absolutely.
Excellent. Nice.
Okay, right. The final one, we've got a few moments in order to discuss it. And this one is fact checkers. We've seen them online, we've seen them on social media, but are they only checking non-establishment narratives? In other words, they're leaving the established narratives well alone. So anyone from the government, anyone from the in quotes normal facets of government and industry, they're being left alone. Whereas
Mm.
you and I on the fringes are being fact checked. Is that true or false?
It certainly seems to be true. In fact, there's this chap called Mike Howell, who's director of something called the Oversight Project at the Heritage Foundation. I think you were mentioning Heritage not too long ago in this very episode, were you not?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, not the Heritage. When I was talking about BlackRock, it wasn't the Heritage Foundation.
No.
Okay, anyway, so he's written this article. I'm going to share that with you too. And in it, he says this, I love it. It says, if a man dresses as a woman, that's quote, if a man dresses as a woman, he is still a man. And if a liberal reporter calls himself a fact checker, he is still a liberal reporter. End quote. So who fact checks the fact checkers? This goes back all the way to, was it Julius Caesar? Somebody like
Mm.
that, or Augustus Caesar. Somebody said, "Who guards the guardians?"
Yeah, but the thing is, the fact checkers, especially the bigger fact checkers, they actually have a policy that they have to stick with. So it's not just random people just checking it and their views are then made that is biased on their current viewpoint. The people that work in these companies cannot have a bias. They have to follow a certain methodology and they have to be transparent with it. That they can't just follow, well, we'll check these people and not them. That's almost like a confirmation bias view that you're thinking, oh no, because they're not agreeing with my viewpoint, they're checking out everybody who agrees with me and nobody else. But that's actually true because you're being selective as to who you're seeing. You don't see who else they check. They only happen to check the ones that you're aligned to. So you have this bias that you think, oh no, they're only after my viewpoint. And it's the same in the States where a lot of Trump supporters, they feel their viewpoints are being hounded by some of these fact checkers and they feel picked on almost. Why are we being picked on and the liberals and the current government's not being picked on? Because it's
How would I nullify your hypothesis? How what you've just said now, that whoever is looking at fact checkers will be noticing only his or her point of view being fact checked, and they get upset. Now, that to me seems to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I wonder how you have come across counter information that shows that that's the case. Would you like to point to some evidence that backs up what you're saying?
because if you look at the fact checkers, the big ones, you can't look at the small ones. You've got the big established companies. They have a transparency and a methodology. They have they have to cite the sources. They also provide evidence for their conclusions based on what they're looking at. So they're
Well, for
not.
example, CNN should have fact checkers of note. For example, after President Joe Biden made up that he met Israel's prime minister during the Six-Day War of 1967, this is our president, this is the modern president, Joe Biden. CNN's top fact checker, Daniel Dale, is a name, let him up with a slap on the wrist with the headline, Biden tells inaccurate story about his 1973 meeting with Israeli Prime Minister. So one man's made up story is another man's inaccurate story. So a fact checker can, who has a political bias, can so-called check facts, but couch it in such language that it isn't quite the same thing
How do we know his political affiliation?
because it's working for CNN.
That doesn't make everybody working for CNN
Kind
a
of does.
liberal. No, it doesn't. That's
Yeah,
not
it
how it
absolutely does.
works. Of
Give me
course
the
it
name of one
doesn't.
conservative working for CNN.
That's not the case.
No, give me the name of one conservative working for CNN.
Give me the name of somebody who's a liberal that works for CNN.
Anybody, Daniel Dale.
You can't
Daniel
say
Dale.
that.
I can't.
Has he nailed his allegiance to the mast to say that he is a liberal?
Yes.
He's nailed it. He's
Yeah.
put evidence that he's a liberal.
Yeah.
So he's using
Ask
his
me how.
liberal bias
Yeah. Ask me
as
how.
go on then.
He's
I'll
working
ask
for
you how.
CNN.
That's not a reason.
It is.
So that means everyone for the BBC is woke who
Yeah.
works for the BBC.
Yeah.
What nonsense.
Look, give me the name of somebody who works for the BBC who isn't woke.
That's a logical fallacy. Just
How?
because we cannot give you a name of
I'll give you
somebody,
time to find out. I'll
you're
give you time
making
to
an
find out.
assumption that everybody that works for a particular company is that way inclined. What nonsense!
It's not nonsense.
That's a logical fallacy.
It's not nonsense at all. Look, every animal that goes cuckoo in a chicken hut is a cock. Okay, all right. Every animal that goes in the pigsty is a pig. It's straightforward. There's nothing
Oh,
difficult here.
no, you're
There's nothing difficult. It's black and white.
I'm afraid that I disregard that line of
Well, we'll have to do another show on it, and we'll have to come back, and I'll prove my case. You won't be welcome. People, who was it? Oh my goodness! Now, people said, now who are they talking about? People said, I believe. Oh God, where is it? That if you, I believe it's Disney. If you have Republican views, you have to keep it to yourself. Otherwise, you'll be tossed out. Let's not forget Gina Carano. What did she say?
no, but
Remember how Gina?
I remember her, and if you
Yeah,
want to explain for our listeners and viewers
Gina
who
Carano
have no idea who she is, but
was
go
an
on.
actress. She is an actress who was working for Disney on a show called The Mandalorian or
The
something like that.
Mandalorian, excellent show, actually.
Really?
Yes, very good. Yes,
If you say so. I
absolutely.
tried to watch it. I couldn't stop.
No, it's excellent. It is
Okay.
good.
Anyway, she said something which revealed a Republican bias, and she was
It
fired.
wasn't to do with Republican bias.
Go ahead.
It was the fact that her claims were quite out there, and that's all it
What was
was.
the
It was
claim again?
nothing to do with Republic. I can't, off the top of my head, remember,
This is
but
why
it
we have
was
good.
more outrageous, and that's what it was. Now, granted, it was heavy-handed that she lost her job. I think that was a little bit too aggressive. She could have been reprimanded or giving a warning, but to lose her job over what she said was, I thought, was rather harsh. But it wasn't a Republican view. It could have been, but it wasn't
I've
necessarily.
got
It was
it.
quite a a statement. Go on, if you've
I've
got
got
it.
it. It's Gina Carano, blah blah blah. After sharing a post on social media implying that being a Republican today is being Jewish during the Holocaust.
Ah,
Sorry, X, what is the problem? And I'm not defending her. This is, look at me. Seriously, I don't see the problem. Now, I really don't see the problem. She's using how bad it was being a Jew in the Holocaust. It wasn't, would you say it was a good idea to be Jewish during the Holocaust?
no,
No,
but there are
it was
better
very
examples of using.
well, okay, so her
But I
language,
agree. I am agreeing with
what's the
you.
problem?
I
All
am
she's saying,
agreeing with you. I'm not saying
all she's
she
saying
should
is
have
that,
lost the job. That's just the wrong
and she did it
language.
because she was going on about being a Republican. If she had said, again, fandom is saying is that if she had said something similar about about being a Democrat, she'd have been fine.
No, I disagree. I think it was
Okay.
the
We'll have to come
comparison
back.
that was used
No, no.
unfairly. But anyway,
Let's
we have got
let's
to the
promise to come back
end.
and deal with that again. We need a
Okay,
promise.
because
We'll come back and deal with that.
we have got to the top of the hour. Do you want a quick sum up then? Do you think fact checkers only check on claims that don't match the
Absolutely.
established narrative?
Absolutely 100%.
I'm not convinced on that at all. I think that's rather biased. That's my own opinion. I think they do a reasonable job. I'm not saying they get it right every time, far from it, but they are not inherently biased in any one way or another. That's
I say
just my
yard
view.
boot is fact checkers. You don't, what you do is this. Let me tell you, I thought about it. This is
Okay.
my solution. Instead of fact checkers, simply have a noticeable reminder that users should always check claims, should always check claims. And then perhaps provide a link to a page that explains how to do this effectively. So
Okay.
you train people
Absolutely. That's a good
to
way of
check.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So no,
Good
thank
way
you.
of
You don't
doing
need
it.
to defend on anyone else.
Okay. We could talk at length, but unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.
Yep. Bye bye.